You noble diggers, all stand up now.
Welcome, comrade. Never forget the forms.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to my channel. Today we will be talking about Dean Withers, mostly. Today was supposed to be the third part of our entire History of Western Philosophy series. We were approaching the Meno. I was arrogantly approaching the Meno. I sat down to do it this morning, and I remembered the squares, and I was scared of embarrassing myself with what is really simple math. And so I'm gonna reread it tonight, just to make sure I got it. Yeah, sorry, but this will slot in here fine, I think. Yeah, so what we're talking about today is Dean Withers, right? Who is this liberal commentator who has well outsized his reach with this Charlie Kirk news, which is like the third or fourth day we're talking about this Charlie Kirk thing. Ridiculous. He was not that powerful. He was not that big. But Dean Withers broke down crying when he saw it, right? This is a kid. He looks gay to me, right? Who cares, right? Who cares that he cried, right? It's violence. Violence is scary. Even to the toughest guy, right? Even to a combat veteran, violence it's a lot, right? But this guy didn't just cry. He cried, and then he doubled down, and then he went back on stream like the next day and was like, don't draw this as a line between left and right. If you draw this as a line between left and right, I'll choose the right.
Don't make that line be one between the left and right. Because if you do make that line fall between the left and right, I will side with the right.
Right? And I just wanted to brag here. I wanted to say that we already said this on our channel, right? When you're thinking about leftists, this is a liberal. He is not even on the left side of the spectrum objectively. Right? He is a right-winger. But when you're talking about leftists in the conception of the American mind, in the hog minds of the stupids, you have to remember that there are only two serious positions, the Marxist-Leninists and the Trotskyists, and basically only those two wouldn't kill Rosa Luxemburg, right?
If you've been on the socialist side of the internet recently, you've no doubt seen the Bernie Sanders killed Rosa Luxemburg meme floating around.
That's what he said. He said, if it came down to it, I'd pick the sides of the masters. They pay my checks, right? They keep me comfortable. I live a very good life, he says, right? There is no morality that could push him to doing the right thing, to being a real man that sticks up against these genocidal monsters that have destroyed peace, world order, democracy, human rights. So yeah, Dean Withers, right? All these liberals, right? They're just traitors. They're nothing. They're scum, right? And we're going to double down on this. There was news recently that kind of got overshadowed by all this Israeli Mossad op trying to cover up their assassination of Charlie Kirk. And also that assassination is trying to cover up their involvement in the Epstein Mossad thing, right? So, but anyways, there was this news article like 10 days ago, I want to say, about this chorus thing, right? Which is a way to funnel dark money to liberal creators, right? American liberals, so right-wingers. David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen are the ones who are the biggest ones who got caught, right? With more than 1 million viewers. They've come out and been like, this is fine. It's been misrepresented. They've done a bunch of defamation against Taylor Lorenz. They've threatened to frivolously levy lawsuits against her.
With even more outrageous claims, suggesting that it's APAC or IPAC. I don't even know how it's pronounced. That is funding this show or other creators.
Went back into the archives. All you got to do is probably Control F APAC. Here it is 6 years ago talking about Ilhan Omar.
APAC, from APAC, APAC support APAC. APAC.
We need on the left to start meeting these people rhetorically, right? These are traitors. This is sedition, right? If David Pakman really wants to double down on this, taking money to not talk about the genocide, right? Sedition, right? The parliament is the supreme power. Once you have the House, reality is what the House says, right? And so David Pakman, yeah, we should hit him with sedition, right? Brian Tyler Cohen, sedition, right? It's a 10-year penalty, and I think they should do hard labor throughout too. But yeah, there's this great quote by the IRA, right? They're talking about to Maggie Thatcher, right? Who is Margaret Thatcher, the Prime Minister of England at the time, who was an evil monster and a bitch, rest in hell. But they said to her, you have to get lucky every time, and we only need to get lucky once, right? And it means, you know, their security has to be perfect, and they only have to get through to her once for their desires to happen, right? The left only needs the executive once, right? Power, treason, sedition, proscription, it could all be over within a week, right? A purge of the top 0.01% of the wealthy, all the fascist military brass, right? A couple hundred generals and brigadiers, right? To the wall. And probably some religious leaders too, who are not their own man, right? I would like to leave the religious leaders alone, but the CIA has planted these freaks, and so therefore there has to be some pruning, some gardening. Basically, the entire evangelical movement was co-opted by the CIA from the 40s through the 70s to focus on sin, right? And to push this prosperity gospel heresy, right? They're heretics. They're Nazi freak heretics who are completely delusional. They deserve no right to their religion, their leaders, right? The people deserve their religion, but what they think is a hallucination of what their leaders tell them to think, right? And what their leaders think has been completely decided by the seditious Confederate CIA, right? So believe that one day the left will get executive power, right? And that David Pakman and Dean Withers and Brian Tyler Cohen have decades left to live, right? And that there's no statute of limitations on these crimes: sedition, treason, genocide. Keep the faith. One day we might get all these people. Have a nice day. Hello, you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you. This channel has one mission: to prevent civilizational collapse associated with climate change, to prevent 100 million refugees by 2035, to stop 7 billion from starving to death by 2075. And we will do this through one main vehicle. We mean to unite the Anglosphere. We will do this by convincing the Commonwealth of His Majesty King Charles III to apply for statehood as one. And then with this new power, we will be able to negotiate in good faith with the rest of the world on how to tackle this crisis. Thank you and enjoy.